For more than 60 years, one title has been repeated in report after report by the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and other international institutions. Burundi is the poorest country on earth. Year after year, this country ranks at the bottom with a population of around 12.5 million. Burundi also carries another heartbreaking label. It is often called the unhappiest country in the world. The numbers explain why. The average annual income here is about $180. That's roughly $15 per month. And that's if someone is lucky enough to have a job. No official statistics exist for unemployment, but it's believed that at least 1 in every 3 people has no work at all. So imagine you labor day and night. You bring home $15, and that money has to feed and clothe a family of 8. This is not an exception. It is the reality for millions here. Arriving in Bujumbura, our journey began at Bujumbura International Airport, the only airport in the country with a paved asphalt runway. Right away, we noticed something unusual. The airport's information display screens were running on a demo version of their operating system, likely to avoid paying licensing fees. On the way to our hotel, we passed an accident scene. It wasn't a crowd around another car, but around a dog that had been hit. A small group of children stood silently watching. A landlocked nation, Burundi is known as the heart of Africa, resting inside the Great Rift Valley where East Africa meets the African Great Lakes. It's small, just under 28,000 square kilometers, but its terrain is mostly mountains and farmland. Almost everyone here works in agriculture, but the land is not enough to feed the 12.5 million people who depend on it. In the capital, Bujumbura, there are about 380,000 people, but most of the population lives in rural areas. A country of children who visited the Bara district in the center of Bujumbura. One thing stood out immediately: children were everywhere. 65% of the population is under the age of 25, and nearly half are under the age of 15. Only 3% are 65 or older. The children have very few toys. We saw them spinning old tires with sticks, making board games from beer bottle caps, creating toy cars from discarded plastic bottles, and playing football with hollow tires. Short lives, no electricity. United Nations report from a decade ago put Burundi's life expectancy at just 49 years. Things haven't improved much since then. Only 7.6% of people here have electricity. In neighborhoods without power, people run small charging stations so others can charge their mobile phones. Even in 2021, many here do not use smartphones. On planes, the safety videos show outdated technology from decades ago. Farming without reward. In the rice fields of Buter, farmers work to feed Bujumbura. 86% of Burundi's land is rural, and about 90% of the population works in farming. Yet most farmers earn barely enough to survive. We visited the home of a farmer named John. His family, the parents and 8 children, all sleep on mats on the floor in a single room. John earns just $10 a month planting beans. His home has no electricity, but sadly, his situation is still considered better than many others we would later meet. Crowded and hungry, Burundi is the second most densely populated country in Africa, with 451 people per square kilometer. More than 70% live below the poverty line, and 1 in 20 dies from malnutrition or hunger. Officially, $1 equals about 2,000 Burundian francs, but on the black market, the rate is closer to 3,000 francs. The largest banknote, 10,000 francs, is worth just $3.30. Bicycles as livelihoods in Burundi. Owning a bicycle can be considered having a profession. Bicycle porters carry heavy loads: bananas, firewood, farm produce from villages to markets. They travel 100 to 150 kilometers a day, often barefoot, earning about 90 cents for a day's work. The loads can weigh up to 200 kilograms. On downhill stretches, bikes can speed up to 80 kilometers per hour, and a single brake failure can mean disaster. Of the 12,000 kilometers of roads in Burundi, only 14% are paved. After rain, roads turn to mud. We saw people washing their bikes in puddles and drying their clothes on electric towers because they had no homes. Women surviving alone in the roadside. Women sell sweet potatoes, eggs, and mushrooms, earning a few dollars a week. Many are single. Mothers abandoned by their husbands. They live day to day, often using half their earnings to pay rent. Potatoes and beans are the main sources of food. Meat is rare. The culture of begging is common here, even among people with jobs. Children will often run toward foreigners asking for help. We experienced this when our car broke down. Strangers approached, not to offer assistance, but to ask for money, carrying on heads and shoulders. Toes without bicycles carry loads on their heads, walking for hours between villages and cities for as little as 50 cents a day. At the Bujumbura city market, most goods are sold directly by farmers. There's no processing, no packaging, just raw produce laid out for sale. Traveling to Gitega, headed to Gitega, the country's second largest city. Along the way, our driver warned us not to film too openly. Political tensions run high. Checkpoints are common, often run by youth branches of the ruling party. At one stop, police threatened to tow our car because of a cracked windshield. The matter was resolved after a $1.60 bribe. Surviving on pennies will make carpenters, shopkeepers, and police officers, all earning between $10 and $15 a month. Most supplement their income with unofficial payments. Imagine trying to feed a family of 8 on that income. 1 liter of milk costs $2.75. A liter of cooking oil costs $4.50. Meat is so expensive that most families go without it entirely. Building by hand construction is done with bricks made from mud, dried in the sun, never fired in a kiln. Carrying materials is done by hand or on heads, not by machines. In one street, a man fainted, likely from hunger. In another, a child with no arms tried to carry a younger sibling. Education, a rare path. Only 32% of students finish secondary school, and less than 1% go to university. The only state university is the University of Burundi. Some children walk to hours each way to school. Those without backpacks tuck their books into their shirts. Many will drop out to work and support their families, living without basics. Visited homes made of sticks, plastic sheets, and mud. In other countries, such structures might house animals. Here, people live in them. Some villagers don't know the current year. They don't use money. Instead, they trade goods they grow. Health and hunger. Burundi is one of the least meat-consuming countries in the world. The average person eats just 14 grams of meat a day. A lack of protein, vitamins, and minerals causes stunted growth and developmental delays. 1 in 5 children dies before the age of 5. There is just 1 doctor for every 35,000 people. Faith and resilience despite poverty. Religion is central. About 84% are Christian, to 0.5% are Muslim, and the rest follow indigenous beliefs. We attended a Sunday church service where traditional songs and dances filled the air. In the past, these songs were used to call enemies to battle. A history of division. Burundi was part of German East Africa before being transferred to Belgium. After World War I, the Belgians introduced ethnic identity cards, deepening divisions. Civil conflict lasted for decades, killing hundreds of thousands. Even today, the past shapes life here. The children left behind. The SOS Children's Villages organization says there are about 610,000 orphans in Burundi, to 5% of the population. Many are forced into labor, sold into exploitation, or trafficked to neighboring countries. In January 2022, authorities rescued a woman and her 3 children from being sold for just $15 in Uganda's Karamoja region. The struggle continues in Burundi. Life is a daily fight for survival. From the farmer planting beans for $10 a month, to the porter hauling 100 kilograms for 90 cents, to the child walking hours for an education. Every person faces challenges that most of the world cannot imagine. And yet, in the midst of all this hardship, people here keep going. They sing, they dance, they work their fields, and they raise their children with the hope that one day, life might be different. This is Burundi, the poorest country in the world, but a land filled with resilience and quiet strength. This pacing and structure will comfortably take 20 minutes to narrate in a clear, documentary voice, while keeping every major fact and scene from your original text.